sensitive soul friend. It's your energizing host, Nicole. Welcome to the Zenspiration Show, your one-way ticket to a mental margarita and a refreshing dip in the pool of possibility. Feel like life's turned the blender to chaos mode? Are you ready to break free from the noise? Create your own blend of Zen energy and inspiration? This is the show where we navigate the wild waves of today's world with practical wisdom, wonder, and a dash of magic sauce, so you get to live your life fueled by passion, purpose, and a lot of empowered vibes. Get ready to energize your life. We're headed to a magical place I call Inspiration Island. The Zenspiration Show starts now. Oh, yay! We're back for another exciting episode. I have missed you. It's only been a short time since we were here last, but here's what we're digging into today. Are you ready for this sunshine? Because we're going to look on the bright side of kind of a trendy topic. I feel like it's become trendy. If you've ever tried to set boundaries, because isn't that what it's been around for decades? This has been advice. This has been recommendations. And I have a lot of clients come to me who have said, I try to set boundaries. Now, I want to be clear, because if you feel like you've tried to set boundaries and struggled with it, I bet it's not the setting the boundaries that you have a little bit of issue with. I bet it's holding the boundaries. And you know what? I'm not even going to tell you how to set and hold boundaries. In fact, I'm going to challenge the whole thing and give you something to do instead. How does that sound? Because I didn't like sending boundaries. I didn't care for it. It made me feel awkward and tense. I have, again, clients who have said, you know, I try to set boundaries and I really try, but it's just, I'm not able to do it. So guess what? We're going to clear the slate today. And I get it. But you're not alone. If you've been in that setting the boundary place and found it a bit of a struggle. And I understand the concept, okay? But I don't always go with what everybody tells you to do. I have always pretty much decided, but does that work for me or not? If not, what else could I do? How could I look at this differently in a way that feels really good for me? Because why should we continue to try to do something that is not working, that does not feel fun, exciting, inviting? What if we could make it so much easier? What if instead of putting all of that time and energy into setting boundaries, trying to hold the boundaries, they're not holding the boundaries, I got to do the boundaries again. What if you could do something better with your time and your energy? What if you could channel all that time and energy into the things that you actually want to be doing and still find it easy to be in your own energy, to own your intuitive awesomeness? So, hey, let's get into this topic because I feel that your time and your energy, it's really valuable. And you have other things to be doing with your time and energy instead of fixating on boundaries. But I want to also talk a little bit about why it might not be working. So, because I'm a tinkerer, okay, of what, but why? I like to know the why behind something. So it's not just, oh, I just can't do that, or that just does not work for me, but it's more about, oh, yeah, that doesn't resonate with me. Why are we trying to force ourselves to do things in a way that does not resonate? Well, it's no freaking wonder it's not working. Okay, living intuitively means, how does this feel for me? You must assess things as you go before you just take on a what to do, a how to do, a concept, a way to deal with things. All of that sounds boring to me. Okay, so, and there are a lot, and you know what? If setting boundaries, if that works for someone, good on them. Because it's not about poo-pooing on what other people are doing. It's about finding what works for you. It's about helping you figure out what is it for you that gets you in your intuitive sweet spot So you're manifesting, you're channeling your energy into your ideas, you're doing all these big, beautiful things. So the concept of setting boundaries sounds good. Well, first of all, I don't teach protecting energy, so that's not my thing. Okay, because again, there's reasons for that, but protecting personal space. I get it. You want to have your own personal space. You don't want people creeping over into your space and telling you to do things, not do things, or just forcing their way into your life, all of that kind of thing. Maintaining your self-respect, of course, right? Of course. Enhancing relationships. See, all of this sounds good, doesn't it? Preventing burnout. Oh, yeah, I'd like to prevent burnout. Oh, I'd like better relationships. See, this sounds good, right? Empowering self-expression. Well, 1,000,000% I'm going to tell you to do that. However, here's reasons why you might have in the past struggled with the boundary setting approach. Okay. Because it's a lot more than just, if you're setting a boundary with someone in your life, and that person says, yeah, I don't care about your boundary. Then what do you do? I mean, then you might feel like, see, I didn't, because this is what happens for my clients. It's what I did to myself as well. See, I didn't do a good job of setting a boundary, and look what happened. Even though the other person maybe was disrespectful, had no clue you even set a boundary, by the way, because telling them you did, that felt awkward and that felt really weird and wonky. And so didn't do it anyway. You thought you set the boundary, but then it happened again. Or you just have people in your life and maybe they're not the right people. I mean, why are we setting boundaries with people and keeping them in our life? If they're not the right people and you're not having fun in the relationship, if you're not interacting with someone in a positive way, or they are just hard to deal with, maybe that's just not the right people for you. I mean, I had that in my past. There were many people that crossed my path or that I had relationships with, friendships with, because I tried to talk myself into it. I would really be hard on myself. If someone else behaved badly, it was because I took it too personal. Have you ever sat with that and thought, well, maybe I'm just being too sensitive? Maybe it's me. I'm being too sensitive. They are the way they are. That's just who they are. I hear that one a lot. Well, that's just who they are. Okay, well, let them be who they are, but not in my life. Right? So we look at these reasons. You might have a fear of rejection. Now you're going to see that setting boundaries, or that approach, or the approach I'm going to present today instead, is a lot more than just making a decision. There's a lot of things that go into making a decision. The decision itself, that's easy. I don't like this. I want something different. I'm going to do something different. The decision part, that's the easy thing. This is also where clients who come to work with me, they find certain elements like, well, I did this part was easy, but where they need the most support is when we implement what they actually want, where we talk about ways to have better communication that is not stressful or awkward or tense or pushing someone into their space so they stay out of yours. There are much better ways to do this. Okay, so this is what we want to talk about. Guilt or obligation. Oh, I set the boundary, but now I feel bad. If you're an empath, it's pretty common. It's not required. It's not required to feel bad because you want things a certain way in your life, or you don't want something anymore in your life. You don't have to feel guilty. You're not required to feel bad about it just because you can tune into someone else's place or perspective or feelings. You're not required to, right? So now we're talking more energy skills are going to come into place. A lack of assertiveness. Well, that goes right in there. This is also a concept of setting a boundary means like I've thrown down the gauntlet, I've drawn the hard line in the sand, and they are not to cross it. I am going to make sure. And then all of a sudden you're in a conversation with this person and you're like, well, maybe not today. Right? So we kind of soften and melt back. Like it's fine. We talk ourselves into something in the moment. Why? It's the energy skill thing. when you're able to hold your own energy, well, then it's not about a boundary or any of that, right? So that's what I want to talk about because it's a lot more exciting. And there's a big shift of energy that happens. Even saying, oh, I need to set a boundary, or this is a set a boundary type of thing, is what is creating all of this desire to please. I don't want to upset anyone. Oh my God, if I set a boundary, are they going to get mad at me? Will they think that I'm too full of myself? Will they think that I'm being too pushy? You see all this murky stuff? This is a lot of murky stuff. And actually, it has nothing to do with, right, setting a boundary. But the biggest thing that I found with setting a boundary is it really creates this focus outside of yourself on the other person. You might think, well, I'm setting a boundary because I don't want this in my life. So I'm going to tell them. And if they do this, and if this person says this, or this person doesn't do that, here's what's going to. So we put all of our energy and our focus, which again is much easier to do as an empath, to tune into the other person's energy, personality, what they're saying, what they're doing. When we come back, I want to talk about a more empowering way and why. Actually, we're going to talk first why setting boundaries can feel disempowering and consequences of that. So if you're noticing, here's what we're going to do. I want you to start thinking about, yeah, have I struggled with setting boundaries? And what consequences is this creating? Where's all that time and energy going? And where could I be putting that instead? What I don't want for you is that you've tried this setting boundaries thing, and it's creating a disconnect or this conditional self-worth that you think, I'm not strong enough. I can't do this. Other people can set boundaries. Look at them go. They just say whatever. I've had clients say to me, wow, you say whatever you think or feel. You say, and they say, I could never do that. But I want you to know that you can. I want you to know you can do it without having to be forceful. And I really want you to know that it doesn't have to feel like a struggle. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're not doing it wrong. You're not alone in this whole approach. But let's get into some of the consequences when we come back, because that, my friend, is time, energy, effort, focus that you not just could be channeling into your big, bright, beautiful ideas, okay, or what direction in your life you feel called to go, but your health, your well-being, all of the above. I want you to be able to harness all that good stuff and put it into what is calling you, because we need that from you. Okay, we need that from you. So absolutely, come back. We're going to cover all of this and more, because I got something really good in store for you. More when we come back. So welcome back from the break. Okay, we have talked about setting boundaries, why that might not be working for you, has not worked in the past. I think it's good, though, sometimes to also dig in, not just say, oh, yeah, I've tried that. Maybe I'm not doing it right. I really love to make it clear that the signs you might experiencing, consequences, whatever you want to call them, okay, that this hasn't worked for you, that they are changeable. You're not stuck with anything. Nothing goes to waste in my world. Okay. So when we look at, oh, I've been trying this, it hasn't been working, or I haven't been doing it right, there's always great purpose we can gain from any of that. So the reasons that setting boundaries might not be working for you, again, works for somebody else, great, awesome, externally focused. If you are constantly living from the outside in, that means I can only have a good day if this person does or does not do certain things. They do the things I like, they don't do the things I don't like, or, oh, it's gloomy out today. I mean, it could be any external factor, right? But when we're looking at peopling, we're looking at people and relationships, you don't have any power over there where they are. We all have free will. People will behave the way they behave. I I want to get into a better place of helping you choose more aligned relationships and from the inside out. Okay. Also, it can activate a victim-y kind of mindset. Oh, see, no one ever listens to me. I'm not speaking up enough. It's this sort of self-blamey thing, or everyone is their way and I don't fit in there. There's nothing I can do about it. There's no way to change this, which is absolutely what I said. No, no, we can change all of this so that it is working. It does put a strain on relationships. If you're continuously trying to set a boundary and you're continuously, I think it also makes us fixate. Is this person going to do this today? Are they going to do that thing I don't like? Are they going to talk over me again? And now what are we doing? We're setting the energy and alignment to create the same dynamics in the relationship that we don't even want. If you are doing that, you're just anticipating the way this person's going to behave in the way you don't want. You're already calibrating to it. You're expecting it. That's not what we want to do. We want to show up in a way where there's no guarantee that someone will behave differently, but I've had things happen in my relationships, and also my clients will come back to sessions and say, I cannot believe it. I focused on myself, how I wanted to experience certain things, how I want to show up, my energy, and that thing they always did, it didn't happen. It was different. Now, not in all cases, because again, this is also a great assessment. Are the people in my life the right people? Are the relationships in my life, are they flowing with ease? I'm going to tell you, I just know when I have the right people in my life because I don't think about it. I don't think about how they're going to behave or not behave. I might think, can't wait for that. Can't wait to see that person. I love when I'm with so and so, right? I love when we hang out, we laugh, we have fun, but I'm not, oh, I hope they don't do that thing. I'll just have to say this. I'm going to have to, that's a lot of work. You know, when people say that relationships are a lot of work, no, they're not. The wrong ones might be. If you're in misaligned relationships, they are a lot of work and they're not that fun. Again, I like to have fun. I like to make things easy. Okay. This is also very limiting on your growth and expansion, because if you have this also sort of blaming thing, oh, you know, every time I say this, they say that. Or when they say this, then I'll need to say, you're fixating on the problems. We're getting problem fixated here. That's not growth. That's not your expansion. Instead of just showing up in your life as who you are 100% and rolling through your life and then assessing who's in aligned relationship and who is not, a lot easier. Again, time and energy goes into the things you do want to be doing and how you do want to experience your life, instead of all of this problem dealing with and trying to navigate something that you don't even want. So this is another thing. This also creates a lot of angst inside. If you have all of this turmoil going on and you're spending time with people or a person, I get that there are circumstances and areas of our life we don't always have control of who's going to be there, but wait till we get into the other segments today, because I got magic for you, my friend. There's so many awesome ways around that. The consequences, it takes away your energy. It's draining. It's exhausting. It can create more anxiety, more angst. And now we're spinning into other areas and thinking, why am I so anxious all the time? Why do I have anxiety all the time? Oh, well, something's out of alignment. These relationships are not as healthy, or I'm not actually enjoying it. I've also had clients tell me, I've been friends with someone for 20 years. It's always been this way. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun, right? I've been friends with someone. It's always been this hard and difficult. They never listen to me. They stomp on my feelings, but we have history. So I guess I'm obligated. No, maybe we'll do that topic another day, right? But consequences, it just starts to impact your health and your well-being, and it keeps you fixated and stuck in your problem mind. You don't want to move through your life in your problem mind. We want to be in our spiritual mind where all things are possible, where it's not hard. And also, if before, during, and after you're spending time with someone, you feel out of sorts, anxious, angry, frustrated, tense, all of that energy is creating an impact on your quality of life. The quality of your life is being impacted because you're fixating in the dynamics of this relationship. Yes, there are absolutely circumstances, like I said, where we must interact with people and we don't want to. If we could choose, we would be like, nope, never again. That's just not someone for me. And there are situations where these things do happen. I have had clients, whether it was from divorce or co-parenting or now work situations and that kind of dynamic as well. But again, we don't want to try and set a boundary. If you really have a toxic, unhealthy person in your life, setting a boundary, they could care less what kind of boundary you have. The most important thing is not fixating on what they're doing and becoming reactive to it, right? There's dynamics energetically in relationships that the energy pattern has almost been trained that way. So another situation where clients that I work with where support is important is because when they start showing up more empowered and they're more clear about who they are and what they want, and those are the areas that I want to get into today, the relationship energy, the vibration of the energy shifts. And the other person's like, wow, what's going on with you? What are you doing? Why do you seem different? Consciously, they don't understand. Oh, clearly you're working on yourself and you're showing up more empowered. That's why this feels different. That's why now you're saying this works for you or this doesn't. It sounds great. I wish that's how it would all unfold. And everyone in your life would just, I won't say it this way, but I'm going to fall into place. And wouldn't that be nice? Right? I show up different and everyone does things the way that I want. They say things the way that I want. They don't say the things that bother me. That would be fantastic. But again, this is also about being practical. And I'm a realist. Just because you decide, hey, I'm going to work on my life, I'm going to get it together, I am really going to be there for myself, I'm changing things up, does not mean, unfortunately, that everybody in your life, they decide they're going to work on their energy, their mindset, and how they show up and how they interact with the world around them. It would be awesome. Now, you can influence some people, but some people will never, ever either have the awareness, they don't have the caring to, they just don't want. They don't think there's even an issue. It's you, it's not them. So that's not a great approach either. We really do, though, want to pull the reins back and have it's what we're all longing for, this sense of control, right? I want to have a sense of control of how I feel, how I show up, what I focus on, what I decide to say and do or not say and do. And guess what? You do have that power, my friend. You absolutely have the power to decide all of those things and even more. But not if you're giving all of that time and energy and focus to other people behaving in a way that does not resonate with you. And the more we fixate on it, frustrating it gets. And the more frustrating it gets, the more you fixate on it. Let's get you out of the spin cycle. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, because I want your self-care and your well-being, all of those things to feel 100% as much as possible, to get you really rolling as much as possible in a good feeling place. That is where the magic happens. That is where you have clarity and focus. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to move my ideas forward. This is what I want to be doing. Not, why is this person and that person and they said this and now I'm upset, or it's going to be miserable. Like, how much of our time and energy are we giving to people that we don't see them every day, but every thought of an interaction with them impacts our energy. It takes away from the quality of our life. And And then when you do have the interaction with the person, it lingers on and on afterwards. The consequences of this are you not living your big dreams, you not seeing your ideas cross the finish line, you not having the energy. And if you don't have the energy and you feel drained or you feel empty, fatigued, exhausted, your ego is stronger. That negative brain chatter is louder. It's harder to trust your intuitive guidance. We all come wired with inner guidance, but it's much harder to tune into that and to be able to trust it if we're fixated on what is not even happening in front of us right now. Maybe it's what happened 3 weeks ago, and then what's going to happen in 2 weeks when you see them again. You see how we're splitting our energy. We're back there, we're out there, we're not here. Here is where the magic happens, right here in the moment, being present, being fully aware. I have a lot of clients, they'll say, I don't know if I'm getting signs or not. I don't think I do. I don't know. Yes, we're always receiving guidance. We're always receiving signs. We're always on our path. But if we're stuck up here, if we're fixated, if we're stuck in our crown chakra and all of our thoughts and the brain chatter is what's directing and bouncing you around through your day, well, does it matter if there's signs? You're not going to see them. You're not going to see them at all. So real quick, let's just start to separate from boundary setting to new empowered approach. You ready? A boundary, right? A personal limit. I get it. It defines, I'm defining an acceptable behavior, but can, especially as an empath, keep you externally focused on the other person, their behavior, whether they do what you want or not. Here's what I'm presenting instead. It works wonders for my clients. It has changed my life personally and professionally. I don't worry about boundaries. I set standards. Just want you to feel the difference in that for a moment. Setting a boundary, setting a standard. Okay, now what is a standard? Yes, it's a personal benchmark. It's you saying, this is an expectation of myself. This is going to require certain things that we're going to get into after the break. So I want you to think about standards. When's the last time I set a standard in my life? Boy, I've set a lot of boundaries. How's that working for me? But what if I start setting standards? For me, it just elevates and expands my energy. I feel so empowered. I feel so much more ready for life, but yet staying in my own energy. So the main difference between a boundary and a standard is in the focus and the function. I always want you to function from self. I always want you to also focus on what I have control of. Where is my power? Okay, where is my power? It is defining your expectations of how you're treated. There's some fine lines, perhaps, but setting a standard, it's going to work wonders for you, because we're going to talk about a lot more things that you will get clear on, like personal values, aspirations, knowing and understanding what you want and why, and then assessing, does this meet my standard in my life? Because if it's not meeting my standard, change is going to happen, but it's going to happen from me, not to them. Okay, not there, here. So give that some thought when we come back. Start to get excited. What am I excited about? Ooh, my values, ooh, my aspirations, my dreams, my desires, ooh, functioning from self. Heck yeah, I'm in for it. More on that when we come back. We will be back on Transformation Talk Radio Network. Nicole here. I'm so excited. I'll see you after the break. Hey, we're back on Transformation Talk Radio, and you are watching the Zenspiration Show. I am your host, Nicole. Here we go. We're diving into setting standards. I love setting standards. It's an empowering approach. And there are many benefits. Of course, if there are consequences to the other side of things, you're going to like this a lot more. Okay. Let's talk about what setting a standard means. First and foremost, it means getting clear. I get that we think sometimes, ooh, I just don't like that. Now, sometimes I do start with that place. I start from that place with clients because they're really clear. I bet you're really clear about what you don't like, what you don't want. In fact, sometimes we're so clear about it, we can fixate on all the things we don't like, we don't want. However, the law of polarity tells us that there's an opposite of that. So if you know what you don't like, perhaps behaviors in these relationships, then I know for a fact there's on the other side of that how you do want to be treated, the kind of people you do want to have in your life. So, first, setting standards starts from a place of getting really clear about your values. You know, if I said, what are your top 5 values? Now that might sound snoring boring on the surface, but in the wild, meaning your real life, it's pretty exciting because when you're living from your core values, decisions become pretty easy. What you accept, what you want, what you say yes to, what you say no to, all of that starts to just feel simple. Simple Simon. This aligns with who I am and what I want. This does not. And I find that instead of this ego place of, ooh, I need to tell this person that I want or don't want this. What if they reject me? What if they make fun of me? What if they don't like it? That's just a lot of spinning in that brain chatter. When you come and you're from this centered core place of your core values, it gives you some foundation to stand on. This is the standard of my life. For instance, for me, one of my personal standards when it comes to relationships, it's a privilege to be in my life. You don't just get to be there. You don't just waltz your way in because of whatever. Okay. It's a privilege to be in my life. So that means that I have standards of how I treat people. I set my standards. I treat people a certain way. And if they're not reciprocating, that's not a good alignment. It's not a match for me. And there's only one of two things, a match or not a match. There's no in between. Okay. So there's not like a sort of, there's not that. So we're looking at getting clear about your personal values. Also, becoming an advocate for yourself when you're coming from your values and from who you are at the soul level, the quality of life that you want. Again, it's not, I need to tell this or not do that. That's just very sort of fluffy for me. I need something that's tangible. I need something that means something. So if we're creating this foundation for you, when I work with clients, we look at a lifestyle. How do you want your life to feel? What kind of things do you want to experience? But not just, I get it. If you could have anything, what would that be? And what would you want? But more so because I work with more sensitive clients. How do you want to feel when you first wake up in the morning? I just had a client recently and she said, I think the greatest thing from our work that surprised me the most is that I just wake up happy. I don't have to work my way into it anymore. I just wake up that way. Yeah, that's being dialed into your standards. The standard of my life is I wake up happy. Now, how do we apply this? Because there are obvious, I feel one of the biggest benefits of setting standards is that it's just simple. It simplifies this whole process of showing up. It simplifies how you assess things. Is this a match or not a match? Match or not a match? If this is the list of my standards, bam, 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 bam. This is how I'm treated. This is how I want to feel. This is the quality of my life. This is the level of health and fitness and well-being. And by the way, all of those things, we want them off the charts. We want you rocking all of your standards. It is simple to show up. You're not trying to be one way for one person and another way for another person and be on the defense for someone else and splitting you into all of these different types or versions of you. This is about you showing up. Here's who I am. And I look for the alignments. and I look for the match relationships. And I assess as I go. Match, not a match, match, not a match, match, not a match. And guess what we do with those not a match things? We either eliminate them or we work on energy skills to stay in our own stuff. Do you know how much more amazing this makes emotions? You're not all over the map. You don't feel emotionally messy and all over the place. Emotions become very regulated because you're operating from a sense of, I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I don't want, but I'm not fixating on what I don't want. I'm showing up in this expanded version of me, and it feels simple and easy to be me because this is who I am. This is who I am. It's also, by the way, it's a lot easier to find the people that you do align with when you're showing up as the truest version of you. And you have room for them because if you're consistently eliminating what's not working for you, you're not drained and exhausted trying to tend to all these people, places, and things that you don't even want. And if some of those people you've been trying to set boundaries with, you finally make a decision, this doesn't even meet the standard of what a relationship is in my life. I'm not doing this anymore. Guess what that opens up? It opens up space and time and play and fun for people who are your people. People you align with. It feels simple and easy. I always feel better. I feel empowered. I feel more confident. I feel lighter after I spend time with this person. Those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. If you're immersed in relationships where you're busy trying to set boundaries, this is where we could do a little improvement. Yes, we could do a lot of improvement. Having mental clarity. You know, when your mind's not filled with all of these boundaries you're trying to hold and do all of that, but you're just really clear on your standards, it's a lot less chatter about all of that. And there's a lot more room and flow for your creativity. There's a lot more room and flow for your ideas and what you want to be focused on. That's an amazing way to live. That's just instantly elevating the quality of your life. And when you have more mental clarity, you're not activating all of those icky emotions, right? You're activating the good things. Your confidence also goes up because you're in a different place. When you're clear on those standards, core values, what you want, and you're making decisions from that place, you will start to see results you want. You will start to see the results that make you go, this is amazing. I feel like that. And the craziest thing is it starts to feel a lot easier. This is where it does feel like magic. Like, I feel like I just had that thought and then it happened. I'm done. I always joke, it's a done deal, right? And so it is because you're clear, you're calibrated, you're aligned, you're focused on doing the things you want to be doing, and you're surrounded by people who are supporting that, cheering that. They're encouraging you. It feels easy. How does that not increase your confidence because you have all this time, energy, and a support community to go and channel and take action, take that inspired action? The law of action, take inspired action. You want to create something, create it from that place, and it will easily show up for you. How would life feel if it was like that instead? And if, of course, you're doing all of these things and you're seeing results that you want, you're manifesting from that place, yeah, confidence goes up kind of like effortlessly. And then what? What happens then? I'll ask my clients, so if you did get what you do want, then what would unfold? Guess what? There's more. We're in a limitless universe. You have limitless potential. Let's put the two together. Let's tap into that and get you creating from that place. I want to give some thought on the break what that would feel like. Ooh, what would it feel like for me to show up 100% as who I am, not needing to navigate all of these relationships, but just be myself. I'm surrounded by people who get me. The ones who don't, I have a way that Nicole's going to share with me in the next segment on how to navigate that, where it's not so stressful. And I'm manifesting and creating and making real the things that I used to just dream about when I was driving alone in the car. That's my real life today. I wake up happy. I wake up powerful. Give some thought to that, and we'll dive more into more of this magic after the break. We'll be right back. welcome back to the Zenspiration Show. Oh, what a lot of fun we've had so far. Now we're going to dive into setting standards that stick. How does that sound? Setting standards that stick so that you get to create a life that feels easy, magical, fun, playful, inspired. I could keep going. What is it that you want for your life? Now, it's not just setting standards and doing this thing, but this is just a different approach. Everything is energy. So when you're clear on who you are, as we talked about, when you know who you are at that soul level, and you understand why you're here, that you do have a higher purpose, that those ideas that you have, they chose you. Yes, your ideas have a soul as well. They chose you. And that people in your life, in your community, in our world, we need those ideas. I don't know if you looked around, like it's a little chaotic out there, but that never ever means that you should put anything that you have that's inspiring on hold. In fact, it's so much the other way. It is our spiritual duty, especially in times like this. We're going through a whole shifting around the planet. We're going through an immense shifting around the planet where inspiration, clarity, soul aligned relationships, core values, coming to the world with your ideas from an empowered place has never been more needed than it is today, because now it's not just dealing with negative people. Now there's all kinds of energy online. There's all kinds of energy on the internet. Anybody can put their stuff anywhere on the internet. We want to make sure that you are dialed in, that you are aligned, and that you are presenting from an empowered place and not fixating and spending all of this sort of wasted time and energy in that other stuff. Now, there's also brain benefits when you're setting standards. Now, we talked about a lot of the conflict and chaos with setting and trying to hold boundaries. But when you're setting a standard, because the way that you engage with your brain is the way that you wire your brain. If you're engaging with your brain with this enhanced confidence, this enhanced clarity, knowing first and foremost and aligning with your core values and who you are at the soul level, and you have this intuitive clarity, you're dialed in, you're receiving, your self-trust is going up and through the roof, and your courage, fully expanded, fully activated. Now you're rewiring neural pathways to prioritize those values and your goals. Your brain is automatically wired to put you into a position where making your ideas happen is obvious. It's easy. It's what you do. It's how you roll. That's how I was like say. That's how I roll. Okay. So this is how you're showing up. And you know what else this does for you? It gives you greater resilience. Do you think in the world today that greater resilience might be a good thing to have? Having a greater resilience to negativity, negatively charged energy, to stress, to distractions, to the noise. Absolutely, we need greater resilience. Emotional stability, fulfillment. Yeah, by the way, when you're showing up and you're doing all this stuff with ease and your brain is wired and actually setting you up, this could happen and this is what's happening, this is what I work on, this is who I am, this is what I do. You have greater fulfillment. That's something also that I hear from empaths. They're not feeling very fulfilled. They're feeling very full of everything, but not what they want to be. They feel like time is slipping away. Maybe they're missing out on something. I don't want you to feel that way. Okay, so we have all of these benefits. You feel much more empowered when you have this intuitive clarity, knowing, I get that question a lot, right? I get that question a lot. How do I know I'm on the right path? Here's a few mantras to take with you today before we close off. I do not settle. I only improve. Okay, so I don't settle for relationships that are not working. I only improve. I improve myself. I'm improving my life. Here's another one. My life, my responsibility, my consequences, so my rules. Okay. And these are things you just have internally wired. I focus on what I can control. Well, that would be how I show up, right? And doing this. I am consistently adjusting. I don't need to figure out what this person's going to do. I can adjust as I move forward. I can do that. I define and set my own expectations. How will I show up? What works for me? What is it that I want? And if someone's behaving in a way that I don't align with, it's just not for me. I don't have to defend myself. I don't have to say anything. I make a mental note and I assess. And if there are enough mental notes, then, and this is again where some clients need support, then I navigate away from that relationship because I want better aligned people in my life. Now, all of these things and setting a mindset around standards is a practice. You don't need to do it perfect. You just practice. You get better and better the more and the more and the more and the more that you do it. And again, if you want more information, you can go to my website, which is www.energize-u.com. I have a lot of information. We have an empowered community you can join. I have a mission intuition 5-day soul quest coming up. There are so many ways to practice and implement setting standards for yourself so that you improve the quality of your life. On our next show, we're going to embrace your intuitive awesomeness. Ha! How does that sound? I think that sounds pretty amazing because all of this is about your soul quest for the most fulfillment, fulfilling your purpose, living your happiest life, feeling 100% yourself, and making that feel as easy or simple, like it's like magic. Things fall into place like clockwork. That's what I'm really here to support you on. So give it a try. Instead of setting boundaries, focus on setting some standards for yourself and for your life. And until next time, I'm Nicole, your host here on the Zenspiration Show. I'll see you on the sunny side. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in, my Trapezoid friend. Coach Nicole here, signing off from the Zenspiration Show and Inspiration Island. Remember, the magic doesn't end here. We are just getting started. Keep shining your light, embracing the adventure, and spreading those empowered vibes wherever you go. I'll see you on the sunny side. Until next time, stay energized for life.